Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. So today I'm going to talk about how I screwed up last week and why I screwed up. And I hope that talking about this will help somebody else not to screw up. That would be my goal. So with that said, let's talk charts. All right. Okay, so let's start off by looking at ES weekly or SPX weekly futures. And you can see that last week we had a very significant green week. And if you squint your eyes and sort of turn your head to the side, you can see what looks like, it's not the most perfect bull flag because it really, it's kind of just going down, but it is kind of, down, up, and then it looks like last week was just a big breakout of that. If you do consider that to be a bull flag, I generally like things that look like this a little bit more when how they're tightly compacted a little bit more, overlapping a little bit more. That's how I generally look at bull flags. So I guess that's every technician's different thing, right? But I mean, I can see it now in hindsight. I had been looking at this fractally pattern before, where it's red, red, green, red, and I mean to this before, and 2 weeks ago I sort of broke that. But anyway, looking at this chart now, where are we? What's happening? Okay, so we're still way out of my weekly lines here, but I just use weekly in general just to give me an impression of where we are overall and what the bias for the week should look like. We are above RSI resistance on ES and just sort of in the middle of nowhere. We ended the week right almost with no wick at all upwards. That's actually not something I like to see when I'm bullish. I like to see a little bit more of a wick, a little bit more play, a little bit more, like kind of catch those bears, let's get them, that kind of thing. So, that said, generally speaking, when you don't have a wick up here like this, you at least get some play upwards, I find, the next candle. Usually, rule of thumb. So I would expect some play upwards, and if people are bullish here, I could see why. I do not see anything technically bearish, and really the biggest thing I see though is on the weekly, you see how between these two, I'm going to zoom it in. You see how between these two candles you just have wicks. There's no candle body, and that's what I mean. Like, I like to see the play of the candle bodies. A lot of times if you just have wicks here, see like happened here, you'll have a candle body come back and revisit that space. So that would be sort of the, okay, let's sort of be on the lookout for that. But of course, when that kind of thing can't I mean, look at this. This is still open from way back when. So there's no time frame associated with it. It's just sort of a, just something I recognize in the charts that I look for. All right, let's look at the daily. This is so weird, I have to say, because these dashed lines I made up out of thin air based on Eric's tweet here. I actually did his measured move of rightness, and it was anywhere between this dashed line and this dashed line. And now the daily appears to be back testing the lower bracket of Eric's measured move of rightness. I mean, it can go right through there. I think it's just a convenient place to stop to make these complete nonsense lines look good. I'm just saying, it's just a little odd. So, and here you can see with more granularity, I think, this sort of bull flag pattern. Oh, I can't even say it. I have such bias. That's terrible. That's the first lesson. Don't be a Julia with bias. Anyway, yeah, we sort of have the down, up, yeah. So We'll have to see what happens this week. And I did, I've been sort of, these lines I use over and over again in RSI are to sort of tell me when there's a breakout. And I had attached one to the very top here, and last week, so this is, I guess, the most interesting thing about this, is last week we did breach this line just right on Friday, but I will say, not hugely, considering as bullish as Friday felt. It's not the most breakout, but it is a breakout. So if I see something, I will say something in regards to price action this next week. But right now, yeah, that's all I have to say about ES. Let's look at NASDAQ, because that's where my problems have started. And so anyway, I did point out on Twitter a bull flag, and basically said that bears weren't out of the woods yet, even though, a lot of bears I saw sort of declaring victory on this candle. And gosh, I was actually pretty proud of myself that price action came back and retested the bottom of what I pointed out myself was a bull flag. I was smart enough, just a little smart enough, to hedge there a little bit, but I was not smart enough to keep all of my hedges. I sort of got rid of them as we got here, because my bias, and this is a silly bias to have, but I'm just telling you what it was. My bias was that this breakout could potentially be a false breakout of this flag. So, yeah. On Thursday, we broke out, but I still felt as if on Thursday that the breakout wasn't significant enough for me to close my positions or get back fully hedged. And then on Friday, what I did was, when we got to this here, this where I thought would be kind of the maximum of where a false breakout would be, I actually took off my hedges. Instead of waiting or trying to figure out what was going on, I took off my hedges. So I'm in a situation now where I am fully short in Q, and wow, this does not look at all bearish at this time, at least from a price action perspective. And I had meant to keep this on here. I don't know, I forgot to save the chart. Oh, it's the wrong thing. Let's see. Price range thing. Okay, so if we take the measured move here of this flag, and oops, we sort of put it here at the bottom or at the top of the bull flag. It's weird, right? It looks like the measured move is almost exactly a double top. So that is the measured move from this breakout. Unless we fail at some point this week. But the measured move at this time looks like it's going to at least a double top, very similar to how we did that measured move for ES right before it went there and then continued upwards. So yeah, that is technically speaking what's going on there. Now let's look at RSI. Still kind of on the bubble here, RSI wise. It did breach that line on Friday, but not significantly. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to get out of the situation that I am in. And that will likely involve looking for some sort of back test here, re-hedging, and then figuring out when to let go of my hedges, or just continually staying hedged, because I still do have a little bit of a bear bias, and mostly because, if I'm being honest, because of the lack of bearishness that I see on Twitter. I took a look around. I could see some people, just a couple, still bearish, but the reality is everybody thinks that this is, now I'm going to explain this too, okay? So everybody thinks this is an inverse head and shoulders. I pointed it out myself on the video last week, but what I was expecting was for it to be an inverse head and shoulders. I was wanting to see, I was bullishly wanting to see it come all the way back down here and get a little more shoulder reaction, because I mean my body is far from perfect, but like one of my shoulders isn't here and the other one's down here. Like I was just expecting a little more, I don't know, a little more shoulder reaction downwards before going up. And the fact that we didn't get there before we go up is potentially, to me, a little bit sub-ideal if that was what you were looking at here. Now, same formula on the ES chart. A lot of people pointed that out. I mean, I still, though, I would have wanted to see a wick or something come down here, something, but nothing did. And maybe that's because there's a lot of trap shorts. Does it seem like that to you? I don't think so. Or I don't know why, and maybe it doesn't matter why, but I'm trying to get both sides of the coin here. So technically speaking, this was a bull flag pointed out by yours truly, not executed on at all by yours truly. And we broke out on Thursday, and we continued breaking the F out on Friday. So I'm in a situation. This is a situation. And I'll have to see how I get out of it. You can watch the train wreck in real time on Twitter. I'm sure I'll talk about it. Anyway, I even said, close above the rocket line and look out above. And I had the hedges on, but I still did not close my position in reverse. So shame on me. And right now, super shame on me because, yeah. Oh boy. Let's look at Dixie. Maybe we can get some intelligence from Dixie. No. So, nope, sure can't. Anyway, Dixie right now is, okay, maybe. Remember how I was saying, this is sort of the bull flag that I look for, and I said, when all the candle bodies are right next to each other, and I showed you on ES. Look at this. This is sort of bull flaggy, guys. I just saw this. I mean, if we're going to talk about weird looking bull flags, ooh, I'm going to draw that in there. Sometimes I have, sometimes I get smart despite myself. Let's look. Actually, let's look. Let's all look together. That looks about right? I might be looking for something that's not here. I might be. It's possible. It's possible. Let's make this big. Make sure I did this right. All right, ish, right? Ish. Whenever you're doing bull flags, it's always the ish. Nothing's perfect, because if it were perfect, everybody would be able to predict it. Okay, wait, get this bottom of this candle. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Are we all watching this together? That's kind of cool. So, see how no candle bodies violated this line, and we got a candle body kind of stopping here. We got a wick here and another wick here. Huh. Well, if it is one of those, I don't know, I just call it a channel down, but you know what? If you want to think of it as a bull flag, okay, fine. But if it is, then I'm going to say, because of the length of this pole, it needs to stop here. So for Dixie to reverse without going all the way down here and then potentially going even lower, it needs to maintain the low, I think, or maybe just one more maybe. But if it's going to reverse, if I'm going to look for a whoop up, it needs to hold right about, let's see, I'm going to give you a figure here. This is fun. I hadn't seen this until just now. See, that's what I get for not looking at Dixie. So 92.92 or so. I like that. It's pretty. It's like a, yeah. Okay, so, or I think it's going minimally to 92.4, and then if it breaches 92.4, I will take, so I'm going to show you where I got stuff. I will take this slope, this pink slope, apply it here, and look for that to be sort of the last call for until way below line. So first 92.92, next, and it depends on where in the week it is, guys. You know, I'm just spitballing here, but next to the green line, if it breaches the green line, we'll go on to pink. And if it breaches the pink, and I mean close below the pink, because it could still kind of have the wick below or whatever, it's going way down, like way down. Bye bye, bye. Okay, so that's where we are Dixie-wise. That is really interesting. Huh. I'm glad we did that together. And just so you know, this is also why I like to reuse slopes and whatnot. Now I'm going to do something. This might not make any sense at all. Okay. I mean, not really. Not really. I was going to point out how great my lines are, but I mean, maybe. Maybe. Just interesting that the algos tend to respect slopes over and over again. That's why I like channels so much. That's why I leave lines on my charts. Okay, let's look at gold. This is Gold Futures Weekly. Now this, I've been talking about it looking like a bull flag. Looks even more like a bull flag now, but it also does not look like we broke out at all. If I'm just squinting and turning my head to the side. I mean, in a way, yes, because I had drawn this pink line, but then the candle bodies sort of violated that. And sometimes when you think you're, I mean, if you've traded, sometimes when you think you see a bull flag and then it sort of breaks out, but then you realize, oh, okay, well, it's more of a bull flag. Actually, my first silver buy, people told me they'd already stopped out because they thought they bought the bull flag, but it kept on going down. And that's why I was talking about with Dixie. Really, it has very minimal space to move down right now without going up. Like, if it's a bull flag. If it is. Who knows? I don't know. But right now, we're still below this 9MA. So, yeah. We sort of tested the 9MA on the weekly, still below it, and not doing much as of now. So we'll have to see. We shall have to see. It's really not doing a lot except for consolidating, getting ready for a move. It could have one more move down for sure. Like the size of this pole here, if you're looking at it from here, like it could absolutely come back down here and still be bullish. I think so. Looking at it right now. We'll have to see. Let's look at silver. Oops. I did not still rebuy silver, and I could just be being a greedy mofo, for sure. I was lucky enough to have sold it right under 30 and have not rebought it yet in any significant capacity. I still have a third, but like I haven't done anything yet. I mean, this is also looking a little jaggedy bull flag. I mean, you know, silver's a lot more spastic than gold. We're back above RSI resistance here, if you're looking at these lines. But to me, this is sort of like, if I'm a silver bull and I'm looking at this chart, I would say, yeah, this is bullish. Buy here, buy. And that's because I would say that, and because it's so technically like, well, look, we had a huge red candle, and then we've never breached that low. We've stayed above the 20 MA. The 20 MA, by the way, is making my pink line look really smart. It's exactly holding this slope, which is fascinating. And as long as it's above the 20, it is bullish, for sure. And so if I'm a silver bull, like, and I like I said, I still have a third of my position. I just haven't bought my other 2/3. I don't know what I'm waiting for other than a dip. I'm not. So maybe I'm just, you know how, like, if you want to buy a piece of clothing and then you want it on sale though, So you wait too long, and then by the time you go to buy it, they either don't have your size or like you don't even want it anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm waiting too long. I just haven't rebought it yet. I still think we're going to get a dip. I could be wrong. So, you know, in a case like this where, you know, if you want to rebuy it, I would just advocate a scale in position, because I actually still don't mind buying it again at 28.05. I don't care. I haven't lost anything. I've been using my money to do other things, like short the NASDAQ. Ew. Ew. Anyway, I don't have FOMO here yet. I really don't. I think that if it goes up again this week, I will be happy for people that own it in full positions. But, you know, it's just, that's why I like to scale into things. And if we get a dip, great, buy more. If we don't, great, still have a position, still will ride it upwards with everybody else. I just still am of the opinion that it's going to get a little bit more dippy before it goes hippity hippity. All right, now let's look at Natty. Okay, can I just say that before this squeeze happened, I saw Nathan not only once, but twice on Thursday night. I just didn't say anything because I thought it's a lizard. And he had screwed me over once before. So anyway, it did squeeze on Friday. And while I think probably a lot of FOMO of bulls is setting in, the close, actually, I was looking for the close to get above where it opened up on this contract roll, and that didn't happen. So I still am positionless. My original thought process here was that we would, and here's the gap, right? It went all the way from here to here. So very little of this gap has been filled in. I mean, there's a lot more to go. I actually thought it would get a lot closer to 2.26 or so before going upwards. I still think that. So if I see a candle close above this, above the contract roll, I'm going to start to get more interested. I still think it's going way higher up. Again, I'm just waiting for a dip. I'm just waiting at this point. But we shall have to see. I mean, if it starts looking, in fact, let's look. Let's zoom out. So the previous high here from way back when was 2.896 or so. It looks like it got a little higher. I'm just using one of my lines here, one of my pink lines. Gosh knows. And we've filled this gap finally, but on a contract roll. So does it count? Yeah. Anyway, if it gets above this previous, let me put another key here, this previous high, that's when I'm going to start to go rut-row, squeeze of a lifetime, because I'd want it to go all the way back up to this kitten, whatever this line is, if it gets above there. So I'm going to make that a little smaller. But yeah, I'm going to watch it there. So the first thing I'm going to watch for before I probably FOMO into a position, to be quite honest, is if it does close above this contract gap up, then I'm going to start to look at it really closely. If it closes above this 2.896 or so, whatever it was, yeah, 896 or so, I'm going to look at it much closer, and I will certainly let you know in real time what I am doing. Yep. So still positionless over here, but I mean, good for bulls. It's showing forward moving progress. We certainly have what looks like maybe a flaggy thing and a breakout. Let's see what happens end of day. I did not yet FOMO into it. I thought about it on Friday and just didn't do it. All right, let's look at oil. I don't know. You know, somebody asked me earlier in the week, and I said it looks like actually a pretty good short, and it was like right here. So it's higher now than I thought it was a good short. I don't know. It never. I mean, I do not know. We'll have to watch it. I'm still just not ready to trade oil again after. I don't know. You know, it's because my 4-hour chart disappeared and it was really good, and I just haven't recreated it yet. Maybe that's why. I think that's why. Anyway, it's still caught between these pivots, and I would still say leaning on the short side. I know that's probably not a popular thing to think, especially given this candle from last week, but look at the other candle. But we'll have to see. If it closes above 42.16, that will sort of have all of the MAs here starting to, well, I don't know what they'll look like then, but then it will be above all of those MAs. As it closed, it looks like it closed just right above the 9. Is that the 9? Yes. So it just looks like it closed right above the 9, which is sort of the first bullish signal. Oops. And then we'll have to see whether or not it gets back above the, oh, actually it's 50. So yeah, it's above the 20, it's above the 9. So I guess technically that's bullish. I'm just not that into it. Okay, let's look at coffee or Joe. So I'm still in this. I had rebought a scale, and it did, I mean, we did get a higher low last week, not a higher high yet. It's an inside candle, but it's still giving me vibes of potentially the fact that this could be a turnaround. So we'll have to see. I would really like to see it close above this MA, which is the 20, and then I'll feel much more confident about it. But right now I'm just one scale in. I like it. I like it longer term, and we'll have to see. So I will let you know in real time what my positions are if I change them. But I'm 1/3 in Joe, and I'm 1/3 in Natty, or not, sorry, Natty, 1/3 in silver, and I don't have a Natty position. So, okay, let me go big. Thank you again so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a great weekend and a wonderful week, and I will see you around the interwebs. Okay, bye.